Microphone. My name is John Semper. I am a longtime animation writer. This is my 40th year in the business. I have written all kinds of things, like I was the head writer and producer for Spider-Man, the animated series, which some of you might remember me from. I've also written such diverse things as Fraggle Rock, JJ the Jet Plane, Static Shock, Scooby-Doo. So, and you can ask me about any of those things. I am now currently the co-writer with Ernie Altbacker of Green Lantern Beware My Power, which we are going to see this evening. And I'm excited about this. I think it's a great movie.
Can you tell us a little bit about the genesis of the project?
Yeah, I can. I was having lunch with producer Jim Krieg, who's a longtime friend. I've known Jim for over 25 years. And he said, John, I think I'd like you to do something for us. And I said, great. Then a year passed. And we were having breakfast one morning, and he said he handed me the Green Lantern, Green Arrow softcover compilation, Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams. He needn't have handed it to me. I had bought it when it first came out because I'm an old guy.
Did you keep it anyway?
I do. I think I still have it. But I'll tell you, when I got it, I bought it in Harvard Square. I'm originally from Boston. I was in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I bought it in Harvard Square. I opened it up. I read the first few pages. I was blown away. So the fact that I can remember, because now so much has gone on in comics, it's kind of hard to recreate what a tremendous thing this was to read these first few pages. But I can remember. So being able to recreate some of that drama and excitement of this pair up, even though it's a different Green Lantern, for me, that's really the most exciting thing. So anyway, he handed it to me and he said, I think I want to do something with these characters. And I said, great. Then another year went by. And then finally we got together and we started to make it happen for real. And I think one of the first things we did was we went to see a screening of Apocalypse Now, which I knew by heart.
That'll do it.
I had seen a pre-release screening in Westwood. Stood in line for 4 hours to get into this pre-release screening of a rough cut of Apocalypse Now. I've seen the movie many times since then. So we all got together, we watched it together, and we said we want to do something like that. And that's how this started for me.
What is it, though, specifically about Apocalypse Now? Because it's one of my favorite movies as well of all time. And what is it specifically about that film, or about like specific characters like either Kurt's or Martin Sheen's character that brings it more to life to you?
Well, it's a great story about, it's a great heroic arc. So if you're going to talk about the Joseph Campbell Hero of a Thousand Faces monomyth, it follows all the steps with a vengeance. I love the idea that he gets out of the jungle, but his head is still in the jungle. His head is still in the conflict. So he realizes he's got to go back into the conflict in order to get his head out of it, in order to work his way through it. I love that concept, where I just stepped out of the fire. I've been burned, but I got to jump back into the fire in order to deal with the emotions of having been burned. I think that you can't ask for a more dramatic landscape. I mean, if you really stop and think about some of the scenarios, visual scenarios of Apocalypse Now, I think we tried to replicate that in this movie to some extent. It's just a wonderful hotbed for drama, for really good drama, and a really, we're reintroducing this character mostly to a generation that's been waiting for him since they grew up with him in Justice League, and it's a wonderful way to bring a character to the screen really for the first time, get him in front of eyeballs, get him fully fleshed out in their, in people's minds as a superhero. It's just a great way to do that. And I think that's the fact that we could take this character. He's like DC's first black character. I'm the longest running black writer in animation at this moment. This is my 40th year. This is his 50th year. The fact that we can take him and bring him to life in this wonderful canvas, paint this really great picture. I think that's what Apocalypse Now did for me was it was like, wow, we're going to do that with this character. Wow. So that's where we are.
Thank you. Congratulations too, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
What were some of the conversations that you had with your team about creating this black character, keeping him authentic, keeping his nuances from going into stereotypes?
Yeah. Well, fortunately, they had me. One of my favorite lines in the movie I wrote, where it's being explained to him because he doesn't know what it's like to be a Green Lantern. You know, we're starting from scratch and he's learning, and it's explained to him that he can't. He's sort of powerless against the color yellow, and he says. The original line was, I've been up against a color barrier before in my life and I'd never let it stop me. And it got changed to, I've been up against that kind of barrier, the same meaning, you know, my entire life and it's never stopped me. See, just being able to write that line,
That's pretty powerful.
if I hadn't been there, the line wouldn't have gotten written. So I'm proud of that. Yeah.
That's a good line.
That's
Yeah.
a pretty
Yeah.
powerful
Thanks.
line. It means many things, I'm sure, but in that particular instance, it's very meaningful.
Yeah, from the perspective of being a minority or any kind of minority, you understand that the world is not your oyster. You know, that you're just going to be dealing with one barrier after another. You know, as I said, I'm the first black TV animation writer, the first staff writer, the first black showrunner. I've been up against these kinds of invisible barriers my entire career. I'm still here.
That's fabulous.
And what I wanted to do was bring that aspect of things to this character as much as possible. You know, the minute he gets into outer space, it just becomes a little bit more of a space adventure. But he's still always a man who understands that there are limitations in life that he has had to deal with. And now this is a point where he's just not going to do that anymore. And look at this amazing power that he gets when he gets this ring on his finger. You know, I did a panel the other day where I talked about how it was about who's the most neurotic superhero, and you know, and it's supposed to end up being Spider-Man. But you know, one of the things I said, we were talking about where neuroses come from, and I said just having the power makes you neurotic, because it's a traumatic thing to get the power and have to deal with it. Yes.